the squad looking in terms of injury news? Dan's got an illness, was it?
Yeah, Dams unfortunately had to pull out of the game Saturday morning, really. Saturday lunchtime, I suppose, by the time we made the decision on how he was, which was unfortunate, obviously. So he's still on the mend, really. But apart from that, we're probably as we were, really.
In terms of that point against Chelsea, how important was that for the group, confidence, but also momentum as you head into a different competition?
Yeah, I think it's always key to get results. I think the manner in which we got the late goal is always quite dramatic and always provokes emotions of the importance of it, and the timing was key. And I think you're right. It's nice to build confidence naturally. You will do that from a performance like we produced for large parts of the game against Chelsea, and the level of opposition clearly was of a high level. Very talented individuals, changed the game on a couple of occasions tactically, which we had to deal with. And they had some key players which hurt us, certainly on one occasion through Cole Palmer, but I thought the reaction of the group, and not just the starting lineup, because it's always about the group here, was outstanding, and I genuinely believe it was a result that we deserved.
Lots been made of long throws off the back of that, and goals from long throws. You've got a number of players who can execute that skill. Is that something you've worked on as a club in recent time? For
a long time. We've worked on long throws. In my previous role here, obviously as set piece coach, it was a very prevalent part of what we did. It seems like there's other teams looking at that aspect of the game and seeing where they can gain advantages. Nothing's really changed for us. We've always treated that part of the game as something we can use to hurt the opposition and cause a little bit of chaos. And I certainly did on Saturday.
Do you think it's underused in the Premier League? Because it kind of went out of fashion, didn't it, for a period?
I think it's horses for courses. It's down to every coach and what they feel is important for their respective teams. That's ultimately what you've got to do as a head coach. You've got to make decisions and find ways of winning games, essentially. So some coaches might not have long throws at disposal. They might not buy into it. They might not have the physicality they think they need maybe to really go and use it to the full extent. But again, it's down to that individual coach.
Can I ask you about Jordan Henderson and what impact you feel he's made? How impressed you've been with him coming in? Some people said maybe he's past his best when he joined, but he's proving his doubters wrong, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's showed he's certainly not past his best. He's more than capable of producing really good levels at the highest level of world football, because I genuinely feel that's what the Premier League is. And you look at the opposition that we faced on Saturday being a prime example of that. I think what you've got with Jordan is, naturally, when you get to a certain age, you get questioned around what you can do physically. That was something we looked into in terms of his data around what he produced at Ajax, and your eye doesn't lie when you look at a player. You watch their trends of when you press high, when they have to recover in, the short, sharp accels, decels that potentially can catch slightly older players out, and I didn't see any of that when I was watching him at Ajax, and I think he's showcased already in the short time he's been with us that he's going to be a big part.
And Kevin Schade as well, playing a slightly more advanced role recently. Is he benefiting from that? Is he enjoying that, do you think?
I think Kevin just enjoys playing, and I think the good thing about our forwards, and I've said it to probably all of them, they need to be versatile. I like the flexibility of how we can play. I think it's just about now in this new chapter of building relationships. The previous chapter, it was very evident that players had played together for a number of years, and I think it takes time to build that rapport with players and the understanding of what types of runs that they will make. Classic example was Saturday. I felt early in pre-season Jordan Henderson and Kevin Schade had struck up a good relationship, even when Kevin was coming from the left and Jordan was in crossing positions. So that was just one instance of it. But in general, I think Kevin can be versatile, how he plays and where he plays.
Because of all the change that happened over the summer, quite a few people doubted whether Brentford would be okay this season, and yourself coming into the new role as well. How have you found, you sort of mentioned time, but how are you feeling in the new role, and is it quite nice to start so well and maybe prove a few people wrong, albeit it's very early on?
Yeah, of course it is. Taking nothing for granted, this league can bite you very, very quickly, so nobody's getting carried away with how we've started, We know we can improve a lot in what we're doing. The foundations are constantly being instilled into the players, what's important, what will get us results. And I think naturally with results brings a level of confidence where you can grow as a group. I think there's real competition in the squad at the moment. I really believe that. It was very difficult to pick the squad on Saturday. There were some top players on the bench. It was the strongest bench I've seen at this football club in a long time. I've said this previously, I'm very comfortable in this seat, in this role, very comfortable with this group, a lot of confidence in this group and how we do things and where we need to go, but equally we know it's not going to be perfect straight away. We've a lot of work to do.
And if you turn attention to the League Cup, how do you take this competition this season? Brentford have never won a major trophy. It's probably your best chance, or it's an excellent chance to do so, but equally the Premier League has to be the priority. So how do you balance those two things?
Yeah, utilising the squad, I suppose. We did that in the last round. I've ultimate belief in the squad that we have here. And like I've alluded to in the last question, it's difficult to pick the team sometimes, and certain positions are very close in terms of who gets the nod. So it really is competition for places, and the squad will get utilised. It's a competition that we take very seriously. I think it's as simple as that. We want to go through and we'll pick a team that we feel can beat Villa. And
Villa, what have you made of them? A tough start to the season for them under Unai. Very different from the Villa we saw last season. What do you expect?
A very difficult game, one we had only a few weeks ago against them. Talented players, talented coach, very well organised, very detailed in their approach game to game, a set way of playing, and that causes you problems if you aren't very respectful of them and really try to address it and nullify what their strengths are, because they've got some really good players. So yeah, a very difficult game clearly for us.
No wins for them though, and no goals. Confidence could be low. Is it a good time to face them?
I'll tell you that 10 o'clock tomorrow night after we've played them. I think it's more about us, I really do. I think it's only a matter of time before Aston Villa click into a gear that maybe we've seen previously from them last season. Again, top manager, top player, is going to be a very difficult test for him. But again, we'll focus on us in the main, but very respectful of what their dangers will pose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey.
Just on the Chelsea game then, how pleasing was it to get that late goal, especially after disappointment in the previous Sunderland game? And what does that say about the mentality?
It's not game to game for me. It's the bigger picture. It's knowing the players, the staff, the club inside out. Results will happen. Performance will not always be absolutely consistent. That's the nature of elite sport. But the consistency of how the players approach training day to day and their craft and then the group and how important the team is rather than the individual is always very prevalent in what we try to achieve. And so it was no real surprise for me. It really wasn't, to see players when the second goal went in, to try and get it going again and straight away, you know, we're on the front foot. We're trying to forge our way back into getting the equaliser, and again, I felt it was one we deserved.
And then while I was watching Brentford playing back five, came a result against a big six side, one coming from a counter-attack, one from set piece. It's quite reminiscent of the way Thomas Frank would set up, and often to much success against those sides. Just wondering how much of an influence working under him maybe had, and how you approach games against the big six sides.
Yeah, I was only here last season, and I think maybe played a back five 3 or 4 occasions at the start of last season, and then it was predominantly a back four. I'm very aware of historically the team and Thomas have played with a back five. Where I choose teams, tactics, I suppose, is what suits the personnel available, what I feel will give the opposition the biggest headache, I suppose, and give us the best opportunity of winning games. So I know it's been here, and I feel our players are very comfortable within that system.
And then I remember you mentioned before the Chelsea game about how, you know, narrative around Little Brentford, how you kind of like that, and then I know Thomas would often play into the Lost Up and Hounslow kind of line. I was wondering if he's galvanising that kind of underdog spirit important to you going into these games.
I think what's important for me is really understanding what this club is about, why it's had success. It's really important in a summer of numerous changes, both staff, players, that they really don't take for granted where we're at. I've alluded to this previously. The fans don't. I really don't feel that they are in a place where they just take where this football club is for granted. You have to keep working really, really hard to stay at the level that they've worked so hard to get to. And if that narrative is Little Brentford, then that's fine. But I think internally we know what we're up against on a week-to-week basis, but equally we've got a lot of confidence in how we go about our business.
And then on the squad rotation, then potentially tomorrow, is it an opportunity with such a huge game against Fulham? Is it a chance for the players? Maybe they haven't had the minutes. They wanted to maybe stake a claim in such a massive game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think nothing is decided for the game against Fulham, and I'm a firm believer in that you earn credit in the bank as a player with your performances, and sometimes when you have that little dip, that's what you get. You get the trust because you can't play amazingly well week in, week out, so you build up credit. But equally, I'm a firm believer in rewarding players for how they train consistently, how they perform when given the opportunities, and I think it's a really good opportunity for that for tomorrow night.
And then just one more from me, on Schade, he's off the mark this season, got of course 11 last season. I remember Thomas Frank saying towards the end of last season the club always seems to have the next goal scorer kind of in the pipeline at the club, and he expected Kevin to be that. What are your expectations for him this season?
I expect all of our forwards to be goal scorers, because I think that's the way they're made. They are natural goal scorers. I think they all have different attributes. I think Kev, right from the go in pre-season, I felt like he was ready for that next step in his journey, to be maybe a more prominent figure within the team, and I think with that comes a level of responsibility that when you want to make those steps, you have to produce, you have to lead by example. I think he's been doing that really, really well, and he's been versatile in where he's played, the roles that he's had to play. Slightly higher on Saturday with Thiago, slightly deeper, and again for Thiago, selfless in his approach to the game, understanding what was needed to get a result against Chelsea. But yeah, Kev's been really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.